Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Day After podcast.
What is up, guys? Yeah, so I just finished watching like 20 minutes ago, and wow, this episode, you didn't really know how things were gonna pay. For me, like it was the last like 20 minutes,
Yep.
20 minutes broadcasting wise. But the last since they got back from that like challenge, that was like my biggest takeaway. Granted, there was a lot of like stuff that happened during the challenge itself,
Mhm.
Carla, like kind of like her body shutting down on her, which
Yeah.
was kind of, I wouldn't say
Almost
out of
like
the blue.
really injuring herself too, because like she ends up also hurting her leg in the process.
Yeah, and you see that it is twisted,
Yeah.
and she is struggling. There was a comment made by Noelle. She's like, she's starting to walk like me.
Yeah, she looks
uh
like me.
and it's like, you know um which is kind of like happening at a very terrible time because there's only two challenges left.
Mhm.
Um, and you're a big target, and you know, you don't have your idol anymore.
Yeah. So this is what's weird. So when I first watched this episode, I
Yeah,
thought Carla's easy number five, take her out. Now I'm actually looking at it though. At what would in the mind of Jesse, what would his pathway be if he takes out Carla here? He's guaranteed to go into fire against either Cassidy, Owen, or Gabler, and I put money on them beating him in fire over but when you look at Carla, who now has injuries to her hands, she's clearly deteriorating a little bit from being out there at this point. Maybe you take her to Final Four, knowing that she'll be put in against Fire, and you're most likely going to because he hasn't won immunity yet. He's clearly going to be a big threat by Final Four that he's going to get put in there. No one's taking him at this point. Like, why not try to maybe take out, say, a Cassidy or an Owen here to
it
allow that kind of situation where you can now go into fire against probably someone you can actually beat.
it is. You do make a lot of great points there because at my end reaction of this was like, I don't
Mhm.
see how Jesse doesn't win this game at this point.
Oh yeah, that was this was like the winner episode of all winner episodes. Like this
Yeah,
was us them saying Jesse is the person playing this game. Look at this. He's got the emotional backstory as well. He's got the strategic backstory. Um
backstabbed his bestie.
he's guaranteed Final Four now because of the move he just pulled out. Yeah, took out Cody, who arguably was really the biggest threat to win this game at that point. Like I think if he goes on, he's he's going to win fire if he goes into fire at
Oh,
all.
hands
So
down.
he would have probably won the game. That like this really was like JT and Steven Tocantins, except Steven Fishback realized a little earlier that he needed to not let JT get to the end with him.
Yeah, because Jesse put it best, and this is the one flaw, I wouldn't say flaw, the obstacle of the sleeper threat is if someone has a flashier game, or as he said, a bit louder,
Mm-hmm.
they end up getting a lot more credit than you do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, he was very aware, and then also like how he was able to like navigate, even though like, he lost his possession of Cody's idol. Cody asked for it back to show to Carla and stuff, and it's like, well, okay, that puts a damper in some of the plans. I don't know how he got it back. I'm sure they're going to give us a scene next episode during
Yeah.
finale.
What an unfortunate move from Cody. Like if he just said, you know what, I'm gonna keep it now, Cody's might have not been targeted right there.
I mean, to be honest, it's like, why don't you ask for it back once you know James is gone?
Yeah. That's what it
Because
should have been.
that's the whole reason people switched up all their advantages and
Yeah.
stuff, was because of James. But with James being eliminated, there was no real reason to like, have someone hold on to it.
Yeah, I could see Wait a Tribal Council just to make sure that they don't reintroduce the knowledge is power twist, which clearly Survivor seems to love. So I could understand waiting like just to kind of see if they're just like quickly put it back in. But once that's done, I think you just give it back at that point.
Yeah. Clearly we see why.
Yeah.
But, that's the thing going in. It's like, at the beginning of this episode, um, it's funny, we started off with, the whole thing about Carla thinking about, getting rid of Cassidy and stuff like that. And then her kind of like doing a little bit of damage control with Cassidy.
Mhm.
And, like at the start of this episode, it was established, oh, someone trying to backstab their number one. And it ended this episode with someone stabbing their number one in the back. And it's kind of like, if you look at it at a storytelling point of view, it is kind of like interesting that kind of similarity. And
Yeah.
yes, Carla may have stated the move first, wanting to get rid of the number one, but Jesse was the one with the follow through. Now,
Yeah.
granted, Carla wasn't going to be able to accomplish it last episode or this
Mhm.
episode, due to A, the numbers not being with her last time, and B, Cassidy winning immunity this time. So, the opportunity was much more prime for Jesse to make it happen, but
Mhm.
still.
Yeah, I think that there is some great parallels here. Looking at Cody's idol, for instance, back in episode 2, when he gets it, they make a whole deal about does Cody have the idol? Like, does he have the possession of it? Like, and then in this episode, in a similar vein, does Cody have his idol again? We don't know. Does Jesse have it? Like,
Yeah.
somehow in both the discovering and the eventual getting rid of the original holder, they end up basically being used in the same way, but against him this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, like, props to the editors, but also like obviously it happened. And so props to the editors to amplify, or I wouldn't say amplifying, letting us know about kind of like that similarity or like,
Mhm.
incorporating that into it.
Yeah.
Granted, it depends on how really deep you look into like the overarching story of an episode or of a season of reality TV, but
Mhm.
it is something where you do see that narrative, um, and like the story they're able to create with it.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll just say it. I think that this was the best episode of Modern Survivor that we have
Oh yeah.
gotten. Like just hands down, I think that this was like top notch, like perfect episode of Survivor. Probably the closest one near it, for beating it would be like the Tony Vlachos episode in Winners at War when he beats the extortion, wins immunity, and then makes this a crazy vote for. Like that's probably the closest thing to a better episode than this.
Well, I
In
think that is a better like moment and stuff. But I will say, if we're talking like modern, I'm talking
Yeah,
like 41
41,
and above.
42. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Out of these first 3 seasons, this was hands down the
the
best
best.
episode. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. It was really cool how it all just panned out. I mean, the reward challenge, it was nice and stuff. Like,
Mhm.
oh, we got to see a little bit of that, and it did set up the idol plays and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Carla was doing her best to be like, oh yeah, don't, and kind of like, kind of be like, oh yeah, putting on those acting chops, trying to get that Emmy to be like, yeah, I don't have an idol. It's just a rumor that started, and it's like I can't prove otherwise that I don't have it. And
Mhm.
I think that's kind of like one of the hard things if one were to have the rumor of an idol and they didn't want that rumor.
Yeah.
It's like you can't necessarily stop, or you can't necessarily disprove the absence of an idol, or you can't prove the absence of an idol,
Mhm.
but you can only prove the existence of one in your possession.
Yeah.
or fake an idol and stuff like that. You can only prove that you do have one or try and convince people you do have one. You can't really, there's really no way to show evidence that you don't have one.
Yeah, in fact, sometimes just saying that you do have or that you don't have one just will come off suspicious, even if you fully are trying to like let everyone know, like, no, I'm good, guys, don't worry about me. It's still gonna come off like, oh, yeah, I don't think so.
It's like, I mean, like, and we've seen it all. We've seen people strip down to, they're it's stripped naked for it, basically, like in Triple H. It was like, hey, you don't have an idol, and someone pulled their pants down, just be like, yeah, I don't have an idol.
Yeah.
Good God. We've seen people drop out all their bags, just like, all right, we're gonna see who
But
has
yeah,
an idol.
that's become the norm now. Like, if you want to guarantee that people don't not believe you, you just gotta, the second you come back, say, "Here you go, check everything that I had with me."
Yeah.
And that's the only way. And unless you can come up with a creative way, like a Kelly Kim with her hair idol kind of situation.
Or the
um,
lesser known, or I wouldn't say lesser known, but the overlooked one, was it Vince? Was his name Vince? The dude that put it in his canteen. Same season, but it was like
Yeah,
early.
I think
He was like,
I think that was Vince. Yeah, because he went on with Sandra. I remember him like learning how to like go through like the dark or something. I think that was his challenge.
yeah, yeah. He had to like steal it basically. He had to steal Ash from the thing.
Yeah,
Um, so like I knew who I was talking about. I was just trying to remember the name.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's
but
Vince. Definitely, if I feel a forgotten character, who was actually good for those like 3 episodes he was on there.
exactly, exactly.
But
Um, but yeah, he even had the smart decision of hiding it in his canteen.
Mhm,
Granted, for those that more compact ones, that's a little bit easier to do. But I digress.
mhm.
Uh, with the idols these days, it is something where, yeah, everyone obviously knows their existence. Everyone knows, if you go on out on something, you're likely to get some advantage or disadvantage, and you kind of have to show proof of either or,
Yeah,
because there's no way to like be like, you know, you can't really hide the fact
yeah,
afterwards.
that's why I was so surprised when Carla plays her idol. The jury was like, "She has an idol," and it's like, were you not paying attention? They literally said in this final trial that Carla has an idol, and like they were having like this big reaction to like, "I can't believe she has one," and I was like, "Okay, I calm down, like be excited, but like say right things. Like you should know at this point."
I think maybe I think it could be. Granted, I was more like in the moment of the move, so
Mhm,
I didn't really pay attention to the jury's faces.
mhm.
But it was a thing of like, if we look at that move and why Jesse probably made one of the best moves, in Modern Survivor, is the fact that not only did he blindside his number one, giving the best blindside of the season. Um, Two, he also, for his other biggest threat, removed her idol from play. Whether or not he thinks targeting her next episode is best or not, up for debate.
Mhm.
But making sure, okay, the other biggest threat in here no longer has an idol either. And then it's a huge resume move for him. And then him getting in control of the game. So
Mhm.
like, that was like I probably was like the jury. I was like, oh no, it legit is happening. Like
Yeah,
you know, that was a move. And like, Cody was even dumbfounded, like obviously a little irritated by
yeah,
it,
yeah. You
but
could
like
tell
respect for the game.
when the idol gets played for Owen, it became Cody just instantly could tell like, oh, I've been duped. Like Jesse is
Yeah,
not doing what we planned.
I know. Now no
um,
one can trust anyone with their idols anymore. It's like, no. I
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, but also what's so good about this is that Jesse last week wanted Carla to vote incorrectly and vote against Cassidy. He still got her and Cassidy to have their divide, and then managed to replay. He replayed the game plan still in a way by making Carla vote now for Owen. So now Owen is not going to probably want to work with Carla, and that's also probably a shot towards Gabler because Gabler and Owen are basically a pair at this point as well.
Yeah.
So Carla now is also completely separated from pretty much everyone else in the game. Like, only one who might work with her right now is Jesse.
And I think that's an interesting, because you brought it up earlier this episode. It's like, yeah, I think Jesse does have the best winners at it.
Mm-hmm.
However, you make up a really good argument when it comes to that final four,
Mm-hmm.
because we heard in this episode, Jesse has not been the best performing in challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even think it's a point of like, downplaying his skills or anything like that. He just has not won a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
where everyone else has won at least two, except for, now whoever's left in the game now, other than Gabler, everyone else has won like two challenges.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it does beg the question of like, all right, when he gets to that four, making fire, and even then, making fire is a huge resume move, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what. There are some people where it's like, no, I don't want you to participate in fire because that's another thing for your resume.
Mm-hmm.
Even that is like a new strategy when it comes to the four spot, and wherever you are there, whether you have immunity or not, it's like, all right, who goes to fire? Because winning fire, even if it's against a big competitor, is still a resume thing because they won fire. So
Mm-hmm.
you're guaranteeing a resume move for one of the people that are in the final three, because one of them has to win fire in order to get there. Now,
Yeah.
granted, if their whole game is like terrible and they make fire, it's like, okay, you have that, but
Mm-hmm.
they played better games.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of like how it goes. And I feel like, yeah, I feel like his biggest hurdle going into finale is the fire challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Other than
Yeah.
that, he's good.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like, I think you kind of want to take Carla and have it be a Jesse versus Carla fire making to essentially decide the winner. Because I know some people could criticize also the move of Jesse taking out Cody here in the sense of he would have been, I would say, guaranteed a spot in the final three if he doesn't vote out Cody here. But the thing is, he would have been pretty likely to lose in that scenario. So he's
Yeah.
risking, potentially having a worse finish. But with that potential of if he does make that big move at Fire to really win the game.
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about obviously Jesse, what he's wanting or his best way.
Mm-hmm.
For the other three that we haven't mentioned, we because we already know Carla, for her best chance is just to Hulk out till the end, and that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of hard right now because she's injured.
Yeah.
Or if they go to the new beach, and there is some sort of advantage somewhere hidden on there. But
Mm-hmm.
like for the other three, it's like, do you really want to bring either Carla or Jesse? I feel like the thing is, Jesse still doesn't know about the whole, or Jesse's idol is still a unknown to everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And so like he can, probably get some votes racked on him, and then he just votes for whomever, and then you're at final four, and then it's like easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, does it benefit the other three to get rid of Jesse if Carla doesn't win immunity? Which I'm not saying she won't win immunity. I'm just saying because of her injuries,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a lot harder.
It's unlikely. I usually like to kind of pick who I think could win immunity, like in predictions, like really just, who is the one that's most likely to win, even if and that's the thing. Like she does lose a lot of points for those injuries, even though she does have two immunities to her name.
Yeah,
Especially Final Five immunity also is another one of those big, like, run all around kind of stuff with still
yeah,
usually a puzzle at the end. So she was having trouble, with those puzzle pieces. She's going to have trouble again, and she's going to be hobbling because of her twisted ankle. So
yeah.
there's like multiple things going against her where it's like we need to see like the other four have like terrible performances for her to like theoretically have a chance.
And I just don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Especially since, you know, like I said, two of those other people both have two immunity wins under their belt. Gabler won one. And, Jesse hasn't won a challenge yet. That's
Mhm.
but that doesn't mean that he won't.
Yeah,
Um,
I think there's a chance if, say, Cassidy goes home at Final Five. I think that there's a chance he could pull out a miraculous, like, out of nowhere Final Four win. Maybe they do Samotion or something like that. Like, I think there's a chance that something like that could happen. So maybe he doesn't even have to do fire, but he should definitely be playing as if he's going in the fire.
I mean, the thing is, it's like when we've talked about this before on previous episodes, odds are if you're in the final four, you have a 50-50 shot of being in fire.
Mhm,
So you might as well know you have to be very much aware of that possibility because it's a 50-50 shot you're going to play,
mhm.
um, just regardless of who you are. So, you know, I don't know. I don't think they haven't really shown it much. I don't think Jesse would be bad at fire.
Yeah.
Um,
I would say I would still put money if I was betting in the situation. I would still put money on pretty much everyone to beat Jesse and Fire except for Carla.
yeah,
Well, like just if it was just like even Gabler. I think Gabler would be good in Fire. Like
I
I
honestly
think
think out of everyone there, Gabler is probably the best at fire.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the reason he may even go into a fire scenario because they like want to have him take out a big threat.
Yeah, I can kind of see that. And it's hard to like analyze that part because
Mhm,
it really depends on who the other two are. Because if Gabler is one of them, Jesse is guaranteed, fourth place, at the very least, fourth place.
mhm.
It's like who of the other three are there? Um, I don't know. I feel like it's definitely in Jesse's best interest to keep Carla from what you're saying, but I don't think it's best interest in the other three
Mhm.
there to bring Carla forward.
Yeah.
Um, Jesse is very, and the thing is, it's like, now do you want to listen to Jesse because he had like the biggest move of the season where it's like, now people might be thinking twice where it's like, um, should we actually be listening to this guy?
Yeah,
uh,
I loved Jesse was like saying that he was just like letting everything happen around him, and you just see the jury just like totally not believing that story. Like you could tell that they know what's going on, and they really they made a very clear like distinct cut that was like look at these jury members, look at them, know that they don't believe that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I feel like it's just like one of those things where people were talking about it and stuff. I know they were saying, "Oh, we're playing our idols to, make sure that people don't vote for them,"
Mhm.
but they were. She doesn't win the Emmy for that. Well, I'll put it there. It was like
Yeah.
it was super super obvious what both her and Cody were trying to do with saying that they were going to play their idols and all that stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, he didn't. Uh, but like, the twist of that was the fact that, oh wait, idols were actually played. Granted, it's like, Jesse blindsided Cody and be like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna throw it on Owen
Mhm.
instead. Um, which is I feel in a sense because his name was also talked about, makes sense to throw it on him in case
Yeah.
Jesse, for whatever reason, was out of the loop. And let's
Yeah.
say he got 3 votes on him, or he
Yeah.
got 3 votes on Owen.
Yeah, when also this is just good to go back into a final five scenario with the closest duo in the game and say, I'll be your free agent for this next votes. Like
Yeah,
Owen is going to probably be a little more like, oh, well, Jesse's looking out for me. I just played her, I'm finally was like, I'm starting to vote correctly, and it's because of Jesse. So there is a chance that Owen doesn't even want to really target Jesse come final five here.
that's a good point. I mean, if we're looking at the other three, and I hate just saying other three, but like, we clearly know who the two front runners are.
Yeah, yeah. I guess when you say other three, you mean the three people you have left in the game of our draft pick.
Yes. I mean, if you look at the math, so I did the math. Before
uh,
tonight's elimination, I had 40 points and you had 38. Obviously, after this one, you now have more points. 51. If I lose someone next time, or if I lose someone at 5, that is 14 points. So I'd be at 54. It's a very close
yeah,
race.
yeah.
Um,
This is actually one of the rare scenarios where it really just comes down to which one of us has the winner.
exactly. Which I'm glad it happened. I know that's like something mostly for us and stuff, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it is cool because anyone that has watched our brand steals knows that, like, I'd say 75% of the time I lose 75% of my team before the merge. It gets hilarious sometimes if
Yeah.
you if none of you have seen them. uh but you know yes, it is by coincidence. Owen, Cassidy, and Mike Gabler are the last 3 people I have left in my draft, and they happen to be the 3 people that aren't the 2 front runners.
Yeah.
So we are talking about the other 3, or Ryan's 3, as my lovely co-host pointed out. So with Owen, he even said, like, I don't think I'm winning this game. Like, he has been
Yeah.
kind of very unconfident with the fact of him winning. And
Yeah.
I feel like that may be his downfall in the sense of like he can still play the underdog angle.
Mhm.
I feel more than anyone.
Yeah.
Like he's the only one that can do the underdog thing really right now.
Yeah, I
Um,
I feel like if he was in a final three scenario, that he might actually break under the pressure of it. Once people kind of start coming at him for not playing a very good strategic and in control game, I feel like he is someone that could lash out on at a few of the people and potentially lose some favor in that regard as well.
that that's a
But
fair assessment. I feel
yeah.
like his game in a lot of regards is could be kind of like there is parallel to like Romeo from 42, where it's like, look, he's just been on the bottom on the outside of the votes. It's hard for him to make really great moves because it's not like he's not trying to. It's just
Yeah.
that he's not given the opportunities because of his position within the tribe.
Yeah.
And so you can't it's easier to make moves when you're in the majority, because when you see these really big moves that isn't like an idle play or a blind side, they're usually with someone that's within the tribe. Maybe they're like a Jesse, or something like that, where like, I'm not kind of liking how things are. I'm going to take out the quote unquote leader and then change this game. It's easier to make moves when you're there, but when you're on the absolute bottom, when people already know you're on the bottom, it's like,
Mhm.
why would I do that with you? Um, so
Yeah.
like he can do the underdog thing. He has a couple immunities under his belt, um, where I think he can like maybe nudge a vote or two his way. I can see I can see Janine maybe voting for him because they were on the same tribe.
Mhm.
They were kind of in the same boat through that portion of the game.
Yeah, I think Noel also has a good chance of voting for him at the end as well. Clearly,
Yeah.
another, he ends up pairing up with her, right before, she ends up going home pretty much. But
Yeah, let me see.
she was someone also who was on the bottom for most of the game, so I could see her voting for Owen because it's like, hey, I got to vote for the underdog because that was what I was hoping to do out there.
Yeah. So votes can definitely go his way. I think it also kind of depends on maybe this finale. I don't
Hmm.
think, like I said, I don't think he's going to win because
Hmm.
the narrative of everything. But, I'd say he has a wee bit, he's not in last. I feel Gabler, he can say he has an under the radar game and stuff like that. And he may be doing a lot of his stuff intentionally. And like, he is in a good position because no one really considers him a threat. But it's like, is that really what people are going to vote for at the end?
Hmm. Exactly.
Usually people don't vote for what people consider to be floaters or, goats.
Yeah.
And then we have last, and I don't think least, I think she's probably, if we're doing a power ranking, she's probably number three,
Yeah.
Cassidy, because A, she is tight with Carla. She has like some wins under her belt. And though it hasn't been as prominently shown to us as, you know, other players, but like I still remember what you said about Ryan and James's exit interviews of like, hey, yo, we thought Cassidy was a lot bigger threat than what we've,
Hmm.
got credit for, or the show is giving credit for. So it's like there is that like wild card element that she may have. Also, if they're smart and get rid of the two big threats, then it's like I feel like she might have a good case. I don't know what her angle would probably be. Like, um, an argument can be made with on a season where women were very much targeted a lot in this game that she was able to pull through. That's always a good story to tell. Other than that, there's no like really strong moves that she has made other than
Yeah.
winning immunity and stuff and being aligned with Carla and
Yeah.
James that really make me like, wow, yeah, she played a really great game.
Yeah.
But I do
Yeah.
think she has a better chance than Owen and Gabler.
Yeah, I agree. I do think she is number three. However, I will say I will be extremely disappointed, not in her as necessarily as a winner, but in the editors in editing the season is so good, except for giving us like a winner story from if she ends up winning the winner, because it just seems like Survivor has a lot of trouble editing the under the radar female in Survivor. We see this multiple times whenever a female wins who kind of is not front and center of everything. They just kind of don't give them a lot of confessionals. They kind of just will have like one random confessional somewhere where it's like, I think I can win, and then that's it. And then it's like they win, and it's like, see, look at that. They said that they could win this one
Yeah,
episode.
yeah. I mean, usually, like we saw with both, if we're using like the past two seasons as comparison,
Hmm.
and which is why I think Jesse's going to win. We saw that like aha moment or like the winner moment where it was like, oh,
Hmm.
we saw this in the last like few episodes before the finale with both Marianne and with
Yeah.
Erica.
Yeah.
Um,
Marianne's was literally her vote against Omer, her closest ally,
yeah,
at Final Six.
yeah. So it's like, and that aha moment was with Jesse. We didn't get one from, anyone really except from Jesse.
Hmm.
So like Cassidy did not get it. So like I don't think it's gonna be that. I
Hmm.
really think it is either I think it's Jesse, then Carla, then Cass, then Owen, then Gabler.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a pretty fair go of it. Do we want to do a quick little boot list almost of how we think the finale is going to play out?
Yeah, I think you've been, or like, well, I know you say you don't think Carla's going to go out at 5, but
Mhm,
I do think it only makes sense because, like, for Jesse's game, it makes perfect sense.
mhm,
But now that the awareness is like, oh, wait, both Jesse and Carla are big threats, it's like you have to get rid of one of the threats. I feel they don't get rid of Jesse at 5 because,
mhm.
granted, Jesse has the idol and everything, and they
Yeah,
don't know that. But
yeah.
I feel like they're so focused on Carla that they're
I,
gonna.
I I think that they wouldn't unless Jesse literally does something to make them do it, like on purpose. Like he's trying to get the votes on him. I think if he just kind of plays five like he would play five, I think he doesn't go home
All right,
or
so who do you
get the
think
votes.
goes home at 5?
I am going Cassidy. I feel like she's gotten your typical kind of go out at five. Like it almost feels like a Lindsay edit from 42 as well. You know, like she did good in challenges. They kind of really showed them as like a kind of a bit of a threat near kind of like the end game stretch of it a little bit. But comes up just short because they're actually really setting up someone else to be the real winner.
That
So
makes
I
sense.
yeah, I would probably even say I'm gonna guess Owen wins immunity at five. I'll even go off on and say that. And then yeah, I think Carla loses fire at four, and then that leaves us with a Gabler zero, maybe one vote, maybe someone like does give him a vote. Like I don't want to be saying he gets zero, but maybe he gets
But the
one.
third, we can say third place.
Third place, and then second would be Owen, followed by Jesse winning.
That I agree. It is tough because I feel like so much is dependent on that 4.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick to my guns, and I feel like Carla goes out at 5. It just doesn't make sense for the other 3. It's a smarter
Hmm.
move for Jesse to keep, but it's like I just don't really see it.
Hmm.
Why they wouldn't. And when it comes to that 4, because it's either I feel Jesse goes, but I feel Jesse can pull it out. I don't think I'd say that's the thing because, like,
Hmm.
if it's Owen, it's like, do you want to send Cassidy in there or do you want to send Gabler in there? And it's like, well, Gabler might win it, but also Cassidy might also get something for her resume as well. And then
Yeah.
it's almost the same thing if Cassidy wins that, 4. So I feel like that one is a bit tricky. I'm going to say Owen wins both challenges. He does.
Hmm.
And then he puts Cass in, or not, yeah, Cass against Jesse, and Jesse pulls through, and then it's basically what you said. So I think
Got
the
it.
only difference between our boot lists is we have, Carla and Cassidy reversed.
Yeah, yeah, because I also agree. Yeah, it's I think Owen's gonna get two immunity wins here in the finale.
I mean, it
Uh
could be Cassidy as well. She is
yeah,
proven to be, pretty strong in challenges as well.
yeah,
I remind you, she was third in that endurance competition
yeah,
with the water.
true.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean it's possible. I'm pretty sure she's going to be going out at five like that. That's just
yeah,
where I'm thinking. And if that's the case, then I'm looking at Final Four and I'm like, good job, Owen. Here's your immunity. You're
yeah.
up against Carla, who has an
Is
injury in her
injured,
foot
is
and her
wounded.
fingers. Jesse, who is yet to win immunity, and is usually like in the end, like back behind everyone. Even when he gets a lead, he ends up falling behind like immediately. And then you got Gabler, who he won that first immunity, but like that was just a challenge about who can be more stubborn, pretty much.
I think that's all endurance competitions, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, but that was like even more. It was just like just hold it here, just keep it holding.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm not like Gabler's going to be so good at this immunity challenge at 4. I'm going to still probably say he's going to be falling behind compared to
Yeah.
Owen.
Yeah. All right. So, okay, confession counts for the peeps that
Yes.
are left.
Okay, confession count. So Cody, who went out here, technically still has the lead though for confessionals at 52.
Okay.
So pretty good amount here. He got 6 this episode. Jesse right behind him with 50 confessionals overall. He got 5 confessionals this episode, so actually one less than Cody. Then we have Carla at who's now I guess number 2 here, with 45 confessionals, and she had 8 confessionals this episode.
Yeah.
Very Carla heavy episode. Um, and then we got Owen right behind with 38 confessionals. He had 6 confessionals this episode. Um, then we have Gabler with 36. He had 4 confessionals this episode. And then at last place of confessionals, we have Cassidy with 30, and she got 4 confessionals this episode.
Yeah. With speaking of confessionals, one thing I also have to mention, when they were going into tribal council, this was like one
Mhm.
of the first time where we heard from multiple people going in, where it
Yeah.
was like it kind of like highlighted the chaos, chaos and uncertainty of like who was going to be voted out. And we were seeing different things said by different people, which I was like, okay,
Mhm.
that's another thing to give the editors. It's like, wow, okay, so like
Yeah.
no one's kind of leading this narrative. It could be
Mhm.
anyone at
Yeah, a
that
lot of
point.
times Survivor will have that typical like the first person says a plan and then a second person says a counter plan, and then they're like, what's going to be the plan? And it's usually the counter plan.
Yeah,
But this time, yeah, it was very much like, here's a plan. That person, another person likes the plan, but guess what? Now we have someone else who's flipping the plan on the first person of the plan. And then it was like, oh no, wait a second, now that plan might fall apart because this thing happened. So it was just like
yeah,
so many factors that really gets decided like last 10-15 minutes before tribal of what actually is going to happen at tribal.
yeah. Um, which was like interesting to watch because going into it, it's like you don't really know with Jesse Seidel and or well, it was Jesse Seidel in the end, but like with Cody Seidel, if it was given back to him, if or if the Cody Seidel was given back to Jesse or whatnot, and if they still play him, and if Jesse's
Mhm.
gonna pull off this move with that hiccup. It was a very exciting episode, and I feel yeah, obviously MVP goes to Jesse.
Yeah, definitely.
There's no
Yeah, there's no one else you could give it to.
he may get MVP of the season, TBH for that alone.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
yeah, definitely a contender. I know Cody, who goes out here, is a lock for a returning player season. He seems like to me like someone who's just going to be playing a lot on Survivor.
he's
Like,
just like an entertaining guy, and
yeah.
I think his story moving forward is like, all right, am I going to be so reckless, and
Hmm.
am I going to be as trusting? Because like even when he
Hmm.
found the beware thing way back when, he relied on his fellow contestants to help him,
Yeah.
you know, accomplish the goal basically.
Yeah.
So it's like can't like obviously Survivor contestants, they have trust issues when they get out of this game. And it's something that they talked about in Winners at War, where it's like
Hmm.
people that I've known for like years, I was having trust issues with them.
Yeah.
Even though logically there should be no reason. It's just like the Survivor PTSD. But we've seen this even within contestants playing a second time, where if something kind of goes wrong, or if they're like, oh, I need to do this a bit more next time
Hmm.
around, that it might end up biting him in the butt. Like one thing we saw was Wendell was being more like, "Hey Jeff, look, we're about to complete the challenge,"
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You saw his like, because like he missed out on immunity because he didn't call it. He
Yeah.
didn't call out Jeff. Or another thing, we saw Sierra Easton's gameplay get a bit more aggressive early on, each time because like she was like, that's what made me so popular in Blood versus Water. That's when I
Yeah.
took control. Now I have to do that again and again. And then it
Yeah.
just
Well, it also doesn't help with Sierra Easton when Jeff is literally every season, even when she's not on it, being like, "Remember Sierra? She voted out her mom. What a
yes.
aggressive player!" Like you get a reputation, even though, you know, when you really look deep into it, it's not like as crazy, but because Jeff is pumping it down
It's
your
about the
throat all the
narrative, baby.
time, yeah, the narrative becomes bigger than what the actual like moment and move was.
Well, I mean, like, it's his job to sell the show and stuff. It's
Yeah.
like, it is unfortunate that we're not getting a live thing again.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, because that's honestly that was one I like seeing it. I think it's more entertaining to actually see them all after the fact. You kind of
Yeah.
can see where their relations are. How do they feel watching the show? Because
And it's hype.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
you get the celebrity cameos in the audience. It's funny. Little fun fact: before we were the Day After podcast, it was just Joe King's, and so like, and when we would type it, if you typed in Joe King the Day After podcast Survivor or anything like that, we would see Joey King, the actress, pop up more than our actual stuff.
Mhm.
Fun little fact. But it's also a thing like, so I live in Los Angeles. Um, if y'all didn't know that already. And one of the places I like going to, the CBS, studios is right nearby. Like sometimes I legit walk by it or I take the bus
Mhm.
and see it.
Yeah, there's
So
a
like,
picture of you with Jeff Probst because of that for like the premiere of Winners at War, I believe.
that was actually because I was working at back when this was around, the Cinerama Dome was right by the smoothie shop that I worked at, and they were having it at the ArcLight that was at the dome, and so like I just so happened to be there working at that time.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, that kind of worked out pretty cool. But yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's like I understand why. I understand it's also, let's face it, we're getting 26 days because it's also cheaper.
Yeah.
Uh the show has to make some cuts somewhere, and
Yeah,
the live
it's not
show,
pulling the numbers that it once was. Like we gotta be honest. Like
yeah.
like if you just look at the viewer ratings, like it's a significant drop off from especially like a season one or a season two. Like it's crazy those numbers compared.
Yeah, and I mean it's like I tell people that I do Survivor, or I talk about Survivor and stuff, and I'll get the occasional person's like, wait, that show's still going on.
Yeah.
um and I don't think it's necessarily a dip in quality or anything, that it's just more so of like there's so much content out there. And I feel like
Yeah.
um the reality game show like
Craze.
community
Yeah.
is like it's still there, it's still like a niche thing, like everything has its like niche, and I feel like the reality game show community, and I
Hmm.
feel like it is more of a community now, and I feel that was emphasized with Challenge USA, because that was
Hmm.
kind of like something where all can come together. I met someone at Horror Nights who does a podcast with James, who was on The Amazing Race and Challenge USA, and like he wasn't just like, he really likes Big Brother, that's his favorite thing.
Uh-huh.
But like we were able to talk about Survivor, talked about this podcast, and like obviously since he's really good friends with someone from The Amazing Race, he's familiar with that show too. And it's like it
Hmm.
is a bit of a community. I mean, I am starting to watch more of Big Brother because I'm like, that's another show that I really enjoyed. And yeah, so it is a community, however it is a niche thing
Yeah.
because it's like it just is.
Yeah. Well, early 2000s was a huge boom for the reality TV like
Yeah.
genre. Like it was the thing that everyone wanted to like create. Everyone wanted to create reality shows at that point. But I would definitely say nowadays it's not. that way anymore. There's a much more want for a scripted kind of thing, or if it is reality TV now, they want to do something like the Kardashians, or
Yeah.
following those kind of people, not a game show with real people playing for a cash prize.
Yeah. And I get it. I mean, I've never watched anything from the Kardashians, or like I'd watched some stuff from, what is it, TCL channel. That's where they had a lot of reality stuff. If I was like
Mhm.
in the living room with my grandma because she loves all that stuff. But like, there is a market for reality TV, but I feel like game show wise, it's not as popular as the
Yeah.
other stuff. Because like I feel like with, reality shows where there's no like overarching plot or whatever, people can just like hop into any episode and you know, just accessible to anyone. And it's like much simpler. You can even have it on the background. With Survivor, you kind of have to pay
Mhm.
attention to what's going on, or especially with modern Survivor.
Yeah, you can't recommend a new season as readily as you can like an older season. Like you can show someone Survivor China, for instance, and I think it's very simple to follow along with a lot of the things happening. But showing someone Survivor 41, for example, there is just no way that that's gonna really work. it,
Yeah,
it would just be too confusing.
yeah. But, we still love it. There's still an
Mhm.
audience. They're still making more seasons, even if it's not as much as it once was.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, it's still, we still love it. Like 42, we all agree is a really great season. 43, it's like so far, I mean, so far, we're damn
Mhm.
near the end. There have been a lot of great moments and stuff. And there's been obviously great players.
Mhm.
And I feel like it's not as, I would say that out of the three of the new schools, this is probably number two for me.
Mhm.
Obviously 42 is number one as a, then it's this, and then 41 is at the third place. It's like with this one, I feel like there was a lot of big moves, but there wasn't as, it wasn't as like wild as
Mhm.
some of the other seasons where it
Got
seemed
it.
pretty straightforward, if
Mhm.
that makes sense.
Got it. Yeah, I can see a bit where you're coming from. I would say that this is my favorite of the new school so far. Now I will say I think 42's pre-merge is better than 43's pre-merge. I do think that it was a pretty slow start. But the thing is, like, even though I think it was a slower start, there were some great character kind of moments that we got for who will eventually be people who are very important to the story.
Yeah.
Gabler, Cody, Jesse, Carla. I think all four of those especially get like a really good, like, who these characters are more than a lot of the 42 and 41 cast was for at least in that pre-merge section. It felt like they kind of waited for a lot of people to actually have their breakout kind of episodes. And I think the Noel moment, especially the reward challenge,
Yeah, that one was great.
I think that's an iconic, like, another one of the greatest moments I think in modern Survivor that we've had in these three seasons, along with this episode that we just got, which I will just say is the best episode we've had. Now I think it's hard to judge right now because we got to see who the winner is. There could
Yeah.
be, if I think if we get anyone but Jesse, then 42 will be my number one, just
Yeah.
because, like, just story wise, like, Marianne had this very good story for
Yeah.
how, like, why she won. She plays a good game, and it would feel weird if anyone else wins at this point. Like the story just didn't support it.
Yeah. I mean, I still feel like it's very, very hard for
Mhm.
Carla to win or
Yeah.
to make it past four. but I feel like even if she wins, that's another satisfying thing. I just
Mhm.
feel like it's much harder this time around because of
Uh,
her injuries.
yeah, I think Carla winning would still be fine, but I would still in that scenario still give it to 42.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But all right. And we'll talk more about our analysis and stuff of this later, of this season as a whole later.
mhm.
But I think other than that, we have LVP. Um, I kind of want to give it to Cody in the sense of like you had the idol
Yeah,
back and then you gave it back to Jesse. And it's like maybe next episode we see a little thing that shows that little interaction. But as of now, I'm like, why would you give it back to them if you were going to play? It's just like it doesn't make sense.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it led to his elimination.
Yeah, there were two people who I had in mind. Cody is one of them, so I'm actually going to give it to the other one just to cover the tracks, which is Carla, because this episode, I think, has really put her on the outs and lost a lot of roads for her to get to the end.
Yeah,
She blew her idol when she didn't need to as well. Yeah, she voted against the last duo remaining in the game. The last two episodes, especially, it just feels like she keeps getting kind of like played by Jesse. Like,
yeah, yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's sad because like it is a fall of a great contender in
yeah,
a lot of regards, but like, that's just sometimes how the game goes. You can be really great, but like sometimes there's just a position where you're in and it's just like it's hard to
yeah.
recover.
Yeah, you can have 20 great players out there. There's going to be a winner and there's going to be 19 losers. Like someone's going to come up short, and it seemed like Carlos someone coming up short here.
Yeah, alas. All right. That about wraps up everything on my end. Do you have any other thoughts on this episode or any moments that stuck out?
Um, I don't think I have anything else. I will use this moment though to shout out that we are now doing shorts for our brand steel. So if you
Yeah.
want to see some of our most hype moments that we've had on the channel, check out some of the shorts. I'll be trying to make sure to post pretty regularly on that one. I got a few ones already kind of scheduled and ready to go.
Yeah.
So be ready to kind of see. I kind of want it to be like the backlog, so that way, whenever we want to be like, who's like some great players we've had on our brand steel, instead of having to scroll through all these videos, we can kind of
Yeah.
now have like, okay, I know this person has this really great moment here. Let's go to that.
Oh yeah. And then they're just fun to watch in the sense of like just us as hosts. We've had some really fun moments
Mhm.
as well. Uh it's usually you laughing at my pain.
uh,
But
brand steel really loves to torture you.
it um we already have an idea for the next one.
Mhm.
But there is a character that is very similar to me that is on this brand steel, and I will explain why when we get there.
Okay,
So
I'm looking forward to it.
let's just say it's luck dependent.
Uh-huh.
But I digress. Yeah, so we got a lot of stuff planned. And then not after, and then there's a vlog that I'm planning on doing. I don't know how good it's gonna be because I'm someone that tries and live in the moment, but I'm gonna try and vlog for
Mhm.
something.
Yeah, I'll be
So
messaging you during it as well and being like, "Hey, getting some good footage."
I mean, so there's like I'll just say what it is. So I'm going to an event. There's a lot of not only Survivor peeps going to be there, but also like other reality TV stars.
Big Brother,
Uh,
The Challenge,
yeah,
USA.
Love Island,
Hmm.
Circle, um, and it's hosted by Wendell and Bryce. Um, Bryce from season 28. For those who may not be as familiar with that that person.
Mhm.
But you know, like, and it's happening at a bar close to where I live, so I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna go. Um, and like, so I don't know how all the schedule is gonna be like. I know obviously 3 hours of it is going to be dedicated to watching Survivor.
Yeah.
Um, this is actually like my first like Survivor watch party, which I think is kind of exciting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, we'll watch most of the video. It's just you in line, like being like, "I'm about to go in," and then it's gonna cut to you being like, "Okay, I'm done. I'm leaving."
yeah. Um, I hope to at least talk with one Survivor contestant. If I can do that, then I think like I said, I don't know how these things go down. And plus, like
Yeah.
they have like 40-ish freaking guests. Like I feel like that makes up half. I've been outside that bar, I've looked in. It's a I'd say medium-sized venue for like a bar, but like at the same time, I'm like, hot damn, like where we can't fit anyone else, man.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean the just list of people who are going from these reality shows is already a pretty big list. So
And there's
uh,
still like 7 mystery people.
yeah, yeah. So who knows? I wonder if any of those mystery people will be people from this
43.
season. Yeah.
That'd be cool. I don't know. I feel like
Because I feel like they wouldn't announce those people. They would just like be like, "Guess who's here?"
yeah. I don't know. It's really tough to say because it's like because it is their season too.
Mhm.
Like obviously you can bring your loved ones and stuff and whatever, but I feel like really they would do like a party or something at home. I don't know. We'll see. I'm excited for it. Happens in 1 week. So yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
it'll be good, and then we got to figure out how we're recording too, because gotta make sure that we can get up our video. I don't
at
know.
the
I
very
don't.
least, I won't be too hungover. We'll record the morning after, you
Yeah,
know,
the day after.
the day after. Sometimes we film it the night before and post it the day after.
Yeah.
But I'll be sure not to be like, hair a mess. Well, hair is usually a mess, more of a mess, sunglasses on, and then, just, hey, yeah. I only remember a little bit of it. Um, yeah. I took vlogs and whatever. That's most of my recollection of that. No. Uh, it's gonna be fun. So yeah. Yeah, that's about it. Yeah. I keep saying and yeah.
Yeah, just keep saying those, and you're going to have a great sentence for the podcast.
Precisely. Precisely.
Yeah,
I'm tired, I'll be honest.
yeah, I
Like,
feel that. I feel that. Okay, well, I think we've covered everything that we needed to cover here. I think I'm ready for this finale. I'm ready to see how Jesse is able to close this out because it seems like he's doing it. It's just how is he getting past four? I had that same question with Marianne in 42. How the heck how does she get to four to get to three at four?
yeah,
And she ends up managing to convince Romu to let to take her. So maybe Jesse can do something similar, pull out some kind of miracle at Final Four. But
we'll
we'll
see.
see. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
Okay, that's going to do it here, and we will see you guys in the next one.
Peace.